Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Illustration Department podcast. My name is Giuseppe Castellano. In this podcast, I talk to folks in illustration, graphic design, publishing, animation, and other creative fields about their work, the lessons they've learned, and the bumps and bruises they've experienced along the way. In this episode, my guest is lettering artist, New York Times bestselling author, and co-founder of Studioworks, Jessica Hische. Design does matter. It can boost your business, increase book sales, improve quality of life. It quite literally helps everything. Among other topics, Jessica and I talk about how her first children's book came to be, and the two audiences for the book she didn't anticipate. We discuss what value good design brings to our lives, and Jessica explains why it's never too early to think about your legacy. I hope you enjoy our conversation. See, what happened was I rage quit everything. I had a program for hosting the podcast. I had a program for recording audio, and I didn't like any of it. After Skype went down and after I reached my limit on Squarespace for how many episodes I could have, which is 300, which is so stupid. Squarespace needs to fix that.
That's so many episodes.
I know, but I'm like, I have 301 episodes. And they said, okay, that's fine. But the first episode will be deleted.
Ugh.
I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. And they said, well, I mean, no one's going to listen to that one anyway.
Yeah, no.
So anyway, I have been on the hunt since, and I had these two programs that I was using, and then I just didn't like any of them. They were just screwing me up, screwing the audio up, and I just absolutely rage quit everything.
Have you ever used Descript?
That was one of the programs I was using.
Oh, really? Because I feel like Descript has been that I feel like I've used Descript to edit video, and I'm like, this makes me feel like I could have a podcast. I feel empowered by technology.
Well, see, that's one of my questions. So let's jump right into it. Why don't you have a podcast?
I think I'm going to. I like chatting to people too much. It's been on my thing I want to do, but I also feel like everybody's got a podcast, and I don't want to be another person on the podcast. And so I don't know. But I feel like the whole everyone has a podcast thing is now has lapsed. Do you remember Do you remember the everyone's a DJ thing?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was a moment in the aughts where everyone was a DJ, and then now that's gone, and no one's a DJ. And there was a moment when everybody had a podcast, and then everybody gave up on their podcast. And then there's people like you that just kept going with it.
I just can't stop.
Yeah. I feel like I love joining things really late and being wow, look at this thing. It's so fun and cool. And everyone's like, we thought that this was cool 10 years ago. What are you doing?
Yeah. I kind of do the same thing, and my wife makes fun of me for it. If something's really popular, I won't really like it by default.
Yeah, that's normal though. I feel like that's actually a common neurodivergent thing too. Oh, if you're in that zone at all, which both me and my husband are, apparently that's a resistance to popularity thing is something with one of those. So.
Oh wow, I was neurodivergent ever since middle school because I was resistant to the popular kids.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that was a bad dad joke. I'll do better next time. So I got my eyes checked yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And the reason I got them checked is because I'm an umpire for baseball games on the side.
Uh-huh.
And the crowd just kept telling me that I needed to get my eyes checked. And they were really nice about it. They wanted to make sure that I heard them, so they were loud.
I'm sure they were really nice about that.
Eyes checked.
Parents at sports games, especially sports games for kids over the age of 7, they're very kind to everyone involved.
Yeah. That is a joke. That didn't happen. But I was a little league coach for the longest time when my kids were little, and that was fantastic. I loved it.
I'm kind of a baseball mom. I can't commit to the coaching thing. My husband has cut me off from doing any more activities because I'm a little too activity rich all the time. So
Are you a karate mom still, or is that?
I'm not a karate mom, but I started taking drum lessons on my own just because it was a thing I wanted to do. And so I take drum lessons every week. And then once me and my son quit karate, which was his doing, though I was happy to have it be done because me and my karate coach were not vibing. But once that was over, I was like, Charlie, do you want to do drum lessons too? Because you make a lot of gross mouth sounds all the time. And can we like divert your fidget energy into something that's not gross mouth sounds? And he's been loving drums. So we take drums together. We're drums now. We're drum buddies instead of karate buddies.
I'm kind of not surprised. You could have said anything. I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. That sounds like something you would do.
Well, I've been joking that I'm like being like a middle school boy in my 40s. Like I'm doing all the things that I like would have done when I was younger if that was a thing that I felt like confident enough to do, or like that girls did and things like that. So I'm just like taking karate. I'm taking drum lessons. What should I do next? Learn to skateboard? You know, like I'm doing all the things that like if I were like a 14-year-old dude, like I'd be like, yeah, this is really cool.
We're going in opposite directions because I'm in my late 40s and I'm behaving as if I'm in my late 80s. I'm wearing cardigans now. I'm absolutely full tilt cardigan guy.
Yeah, but that makes sense because you, in your 40s, you just acknowledge, well, I live in the Bay Area, and in the Bay Area, you need many layers of clothing all the time. So people enter their cardigan phase a lot earlier here, just out of necessity. In New York, you don't need cardigans for like most of the year, unless you just want to have like a cozy home robe, you know? It's
either like heavy coat, jean jacket, or nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically. Only 3 levels in New York. Yeah, but I'm leaning into it, and I'm spending a lot more of my time doing physical activities that old dudes would do. I love being outside. I love being in the garden. I'm trying to get away from the internet more and more.
Are you on the pickleball train?
I tried it this summer for a couple of days, and I was like, okay, so it's basically like large ping pong. What's the big deal?
Yeah, I can't get down because I'm not a ping pong gal.
Here's the thing, Jessica. It's popular. I bet you once everyone runs away from it, I will run toward it.
100%. I feel the same way. I'm like, I don't want to.
Couple years?
No, it's got. I mean, it's going to be at least 10 years until pickleball. Like,
perfect. Done.
Yeah.
I'll be in my 60s or late 50s. Perfect timing.
It'll be perfect timing.
So anyway, I was at the optometrist. I asked her what typeface they use for eye charts because I knew I was going to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shot in the dark. Of course, she didn't know what it was, and she called it a font, and I called it a typeface, and I kept saying typeface, and she kept saying font, which we're going to talk about later. Anyway, so I looked it up, and it's a thing. So apparently, in 1862, there was something called the Snellen chart, which was the first eye chart that they would use, and it was just a handful of letters, and they were irregular and not exactly accurate. So then, in 1959. A quote-unquote vision scientist and ophthalmologist, Louise Sloan, revised it. And so they used that for the longest time. So then there's the Bailey-Lovey chart. So 2 other optometrists or ophthalmologists, can't tell the difference, sort of incorporated the Sloan chart, the Sloan letters, and made it more like a more precise measure of eyesight. Today, it has a name.
What is it?
It's called the Optician Sans.
Is it commercially available?
It is.
Interesting.
It is free to use.
It's like to me, it's like just some version of Engraver's Gothic, right? But
totally, like I know what you're talking about. Yeah, sure, 100%. Engraver's Gothic.
Funny thing, whenever I go to the optometrist and we do the eye chart thing, I have to caveat my trip with being like, just FYI, it's my whole job to recognize letters. So I'm going to be able to recognize letters way down on the thing that are actually quite blurry to me.
Right.
So we can't use the letter recognition thing as our metric for judging my eyesight. And they're like, that's interesting. What's your job? And then they're like, whoa, then they're like, that's weird. I'm like, your job's weird too. You look at eyeballs all day.
As a former art director, I get critical of it. I keep my mouth shut. I don't say anything because I'll just sound like I'll come across as a jerk. But the typeface, she even said to me, like, the C's are purposefully closed up to look more like O's.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the short G, and the G, the line that goes across the G at the mid-height or whatever that's called, purposely short to make it look like a C. And she said that to me, and I said it was cheating. And I don't think that was designed well. But what do I know about this?
No, I think that makes sense because, if you use something where, like, if they were using a serif, like a text serif for it, everyone would pass with flying colors.
Exactly.
Because it's just so much easier to recognize the letters. So you got to be tricky. It's
Right.
the only way.
A gorgeous Times New Roman, for example. No, I'm kidding. It has its uses. Typeface and font.
Uh-huh.
What is the difference? It doesn't matter.
I mean, you're talking to the graphic designer come lettering person. So like to me, I'm a little
illustrator, internetter.
Yeah. I'm like Lucy. I'm more loosey goosey with people misusing terms than the proper nerds are. But the true definition is that the type design is the design and font is the software. Or like font would be like one weight and style of the type design, versus the entire design itself, like the full family.
Like, let's just stick to one of my favorite typefaces, Caslin.
Mm-hmm.
So Caslin Roman versus Caslin Italic. I always thought that the separation between those two, like that was a font. Caslin Roman was the font.
That is what we're saying is like, so the typeface is Caslin.
Yeah.
Caslin. And then a font of that would be the regular Roman, like regular italic or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think the more common way that they refer to it is that font is the software and typeface is the design.
Gotcha. I had a designer when I was at Penguin as part of the team who really hated that I used them interchangeably. Like she was really bent out of shape about it. She was a purist.
You're not allowed to be that way in the world.
I mean, it is what it is. I don't expect you to remember this, but in July of 2016,
when you told me that I should publish my book and that you're the reason why I went to Penguin to publish my book? Is that the story we're going to say? Yeah,
that is the story. You do remember. Okay.
Of course.
So there's one thing that you likely don't remember because it never happened. Before I drummed up the courage to talk to you, which I'll talk about in a second, my wife and I were there. You know how it is. Like as a faculty, you're not talking all day long. You have these big breaks. So we were by the pool, as were you. And I think you were with Sam Weber, if I'm not mistaken. And maybe there was two other people. So you guys were in the pool on one side of the pool, and my wife and I were in the pool on the other side. And I was looking over and going, I think that's Jessica Hische. I want to go say hi. And my wife was like, yeah, go ahead. But I felt really nervous too. I didn't feel like, plus you were like hanging with Sam and these other people, and I didn't feel like I wanted to, especially, and it was also a weird scenario to come up to somebody.
Meeting people for the first time in bathing suits is definitely like
not a good idea.
It's a tough first intro.
Very tough first intro. So anyway, time goes by. I think it might have been the next day or whenever it was. And you were walking in the lobby or the area where the books were being sold. And I came up to you and said, hi. I was nervous too, to be honest.
I remember it super clearly because I had just given my talk and I was showing, like, I basically was talking about having made this book. And the reason why I was talking about it was for like me to be accountable to myself to actually do it and finish it. Afterwards, and it had been a few talks that I had given where I showed the book off. So this was maybe like the third talk or something where I had talked about it over the course of 5 or 6 months. And you came up to me after and were like, hey, you should, like, if you ever actually do want to work with a publisher, you should like come to Penguin and do it. And after talking to you, I was just like, you know what? I do need to work with a publisher because I just need someone yelling at me and mad at me so that I can actually do this. Yeah. And so not that that happened and anybody's been mad at me or yelling at me, though maybe a little bit with my latest book because I've been really behind on deadlines and stuff, but I finally got it through.
Okay.
But yeah, I needed the external accountability and talking to you kind of was the little last push towards reaching out.
There you go. And the book we're referring to is Tomorrow I'll Be Brave.
Indeed.
I hear that book did really well.
It did do well.
Much later, years later, I listened to a podcast that you were on and you had said something like it sold some crazy number, like 250,000 copies.
Well, that was actually, it didn't sell that many copies, but it got brought into the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. And that's how many they print for that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see the sales on those because it's just like a flat fee they give you and it's a donation thing. But yeah, I'm trying to think, I can probably log in and see how many copies it sold because that one's the one that has actually sold well because the rest of them have done just okay.
Okay, well, that's another question that we're going to get to in a minute. You know, Brave was the first and only book I acquired.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. I mean, with an assist from the editorial department, of course. They did all the P&L finagling and configurations and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I came back to Penguin and I went to my boss and said, hey, I talked to Jessica Hische and I think we need to look into publishing this book that she's working on. Oh, and that's what happened. New York Times bestseller.
I did pitch it to a bunch of other places, but Penguin had the best sitch.
Yeah, of course we did, because we're awesome. So that was I was proud of that. I mean, one and done. I hit a home run in my first at bat, and then I retired. So
there you go.
How it goes.
Here, let's look at I just logged in. Let's look at my units sold since on sale. 100.
Are you on Nielsen? Where are you?
I'm on my authors.penguinrandomhouse.com.
Portal?
My portal. Nice. 132,000 books.
Okay, I'll take it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Oh, wait, never mind. That's all titles.
133. Someone just bought one.
Yeah, because you mean someone bought 1,000 of them?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, artist, not mathematician. I don't know if you know this either. So the book is acquired, right? We're going to work with you on this, and we are working with you on this. And then there's this meeting called like a covers meeting. It's essentially sort of a bit of a sales conference in a way, but we meet with the sales team, the marketing team, the executive team, and other members of the children's division and pitch the next season. And for you, I don't know if you remember this, but I asked you to provide me with a video, I think. I think you were going to talk directly to the sales team for the presentation. And so your part of the presentation was a couple of pages. Usually with the other books, it was just one page, one cover. Oh, we're doing this book. Next page, one cover. And we're doing this book. And then when we got to you, it was like, and now announcing Jessica Hische's debut children's book, Tomorrow I'll Be Brave. And then there was a video. And then the next slide had a lot of your social media numbers and who you were and your awards and like all these things. So we were really ladling the really Jessica Hische to them because we wanted them to be very crystal clear that this is a big deal.
They did a great job. And you did a great job and they did a great job. And then I feel like this is my only snaggle that happened because of that is that like the whole internet changed and how everyone promotes things to other people changed. And then all of a sudden with the other books, it was a bit of a different scene. Like Kind did well. But then a lot of the other ones, it's just like, it's okay. It was like everything else came out in the pandemic and there were no tours and there was no nothing. And then Instagram was all like, we're TikTok now. And so it was just like a different vibe. So I was really happy that the book came out when it did, because it's ever since it's been like, whew, every time a book comes out, unless you're like Dav Pilkey or something. And then you're just, living in your Emerald Castle.
Yeah. So. Or island. Like William Denslow. You know who that is?
I don't know if I do.
He's the first illustrator for Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
He did the first book for Wizard of Oz, made a frick load of money and bought an island. None of this is exaggeration. He bought an island, built a castle, and declared himself king.
Amazing.
Meanwhile, fought with, Wizard of Oz author. Something.
Oh, Frank L. Baum.
There you go. They had a falling out, and then another illustrator, I believe his name was John O'Neill, became the illustrator for Wizard of Oz, all the Wizard of Oz books after that. So Denslow kind of lost his mind. Little side note. Why are we talking about Wizard of Oz? What Will You Be? Is that your third picture book or fourth?
Who Will You Be was the third.
Or Who Will You Be?
And then the fourth, I know this was my problem. I was like, Who Will You Be taught me the value of SEO, because it's not good when you have to like describe to people the title of your book by like being like, it's Who Will You, but the letter U be, because they can't Google it. And then so the book that followed that was my first book of fancy letters. And I was like, all right, people will look at letters and fancy, and hopefully that will work out.
This might be what you just described, that book, but you know what I'd love to see from you?
Huh.
Are you familiar with Ed Emberley?
Of course.
And Ed Emberley, say that 5 times fast, an Ed Emberley book, like his drawing book of animals. Big green drawing book.
We're on the same page. I really want to make like a how to draw letters book for kids.
That's exactly right.
100%. Because there's actually, Jennifer Daniel shared a book one time, like a couple years ago, that she had when she was a kid. And it's just one of those like kind of showcasey soft cover books, like almost like if a Dover book was for kids.
Yes.
Kind of thing, of just a bunch of different fun lettering styles. And I was like, oh man, this is like a thing that needs to happen, is to make something that feels like if you made a Dover book of alphabets, but it was intended for kids, but also had instructional stuff and also just showed examples of like words and phrases written in different styles so that you could like just get loosely inspired by them. So absolutely. I definitely want to do that. That's on my game plan.
Yeah.
It's a big undertaking though. That's a big one.
It is, but that would be one of your comp titles, I would say, to the publisher. Think Ed Emberley, like graphic design and lettering design. And they'd be like, oh, got it.
I had this fun thing that happened last year where I got to go on stage at this giant conference for Canva and introduce the fact that they were starting to use kerning in their program, like while dressed as a fairy. And so we made a costume and my title was the Fairy Font Mother. I came up during like this big musical performance and granted the wish of kerning to everyone. And I was like, man, we need to make the Fairy Font Mother a thing. So
PBS, here we come.
Yeah, exactly.
You could teach kids about what a glyph is and why is it called italics. And
the issue is I get contacted all the time to be like the type expert whenever there's like some sort of like scandal within the world of type design, like, you know, with the Mark Rubio like woke fonts thing.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. I got contacted by like journalists in the UK and stuff to talk about it. And I had responded with like, totally, I'm happy to. But of course, like they talked to Jonathan Heffler first, and he's a better person to talk to because that guy is a dictionary, or he's like an encyclopedia of knowledge. I'm not quite at the like, I'm the news source person, but I feel like the news source person for kids that's maybe more my speed.
So just for folks listening, like, what's up with Marco Rubio? So Marco Rubio changed the official typeface for the whatever department from Optima?
From Calibri to...
From Calibri to Times.
Yeah.
Why?
And they, it's like annoying. I think honestly, like they said that it was, I think that here's the reason. The reason is because they had adopted Calibri initially as a diversity inclusion thing because it's more legible, you know, like it's actually just meant to be more legible for people that are like have hard,
sounds sensible,
can't see as well, you know, but because they're like killing all DEI initiatives everywhere across the board, they were like, oh, this is gonna be a real win for the Trump administration to like kill this DEI initiative of this woke font designed by like a very middle of the road Dutch guy, you know, like. And so they perceived like every DEI initiative as being woke when really it's just about like people who can't see well being able to read better. And I was like, guys, this is so fucked up. What's amazing though is the font that they went back to was actually like designed by a much more progressive person who like,
it was.
Yeah, who like, you know, protested war and like, you know, was like a conscientious objector and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, you guys went with the woker version of fonts by doing that. Yeah, it's great.
It's that kind of thing that happens all the time with this administration that just like makes me smile and I sleep a little better at night knowing that there's just
that it's just a bunch of clowns, dummy clowns. Yeah.
Try not to talk about politics in the podcast, Giuseppe. You'll get yelled at.
Yeah, whatever.
I know. Get this. It's been 10 years since Icon.
I know. Well, yeah. Now 2016 is trending. And I made a joke on Threads about how it's crazy that people are nostalgic for 3 months ago. Because that's when 2016 was.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. But, you know, that's what happens when you're not a young person anymore. Is that?
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about that later, too. So you have been in children's books for 10 years now.
Yeah.
What has been one of the biggest, if not the biggest, surprises you've experienced or revelations that you've had as a children's book creator?
I think one of the coolest things was just when your books find an audience that you didn't anticipate. Because you're not, whenever you're making stuff, you're not like making stuff for you have kind of an audience in mind. And I think when you're a parent and you're making kids books, a lot of times you're making a book that is both for like you and your kids and people that are like your kids, you know?
Right.
And it's hard to not do that. Like I know that people start books as like research projects and do like very different books than the things that they themselves would have wanted and loved as a child. And it's just they love the challenge of doing something different. But for me, it's like I'm working within, and this is how I am with all of my work. I'm like working within my wheelhouse of things that I am personally interested in and want to do. And so the thing that I found to be really interesting was when like it just struck a chord with like people that I wouldn't have ever anticipated. And it's actually sort of this like late in life discovery stuff of all these, like, you know, I had brought up the word neurodivergent earlier. Mm-hmm. I only in the last year got diagnosed with ADHD. And then like, and it's, you know, it's because you have a kid and then your kid is like clearly neurodivergent. And then you're like, oh, wait, also my mom's exactly that way. Also, am I that way? You know? Yep. And so you just kind of discover these things. And so with Tomorrow I'll Be Brave, especially the audience that really clicked with were these two different audiences that I didn't anticipate. One of them was parents of autistic kids. They loved that. They still love this book. And it's because it's encouraging, but it's like so gentle, you know, right. Like the whole thing is about like self-forgiveness and not achieving the things that you set out to do. Mm-hmm. And that's why I made it for myself too, because I was like so sensitive as a kid and just like was so afraid of failure and wouldn't try new things because I like needed to be good at them and like couldn't fail basically. And so I made it for like myself and kids that had a hard time trying to push themselves to do stuff just because the fear of failure was so great. Mm-hmm. I didn't anticipate that would be like such a big theme for like autistic kids, because obviously they deal with challenges like every day and the world that they live in is not always built for them. So right. Like you just like part of like being a person is just accepting that you're not always going to like hit the level that other people are at or that you're trying to achieve, and that it doesn't mean that you should stop. And so that's been really cool. And then the other thing that I really didn't anticipate was that it would be so popular with parents of babies in the NICU, parents whose kids were going through like medical hardships or their siblings are going through medical hardships. Mm. I get like reached out to all the time by families who have had like a really tough time in the early part of their lives, or by nurses on the NICU floor who are like want to buy copies for like their ward and that kind of stuff. And that's the thing that's really interesting about putting work into the world that can resonate with people in a different way than commercial work can, right. Is like you don't really know where, like who's going to feel it. And I think that the thing that's really neat about that is that about children's books in general is that success isn't necessarily measured by numbers, you know, like how many people have bought this book or whatever, because you can really think about things that you loved as a kid that maybe weren't the most popular book or weren't the most popular toy or whatever. And that stays with you your whole life. And so there's this thing where I believe in this just generally in my work, where like I'd rather have like a deep connection with less people than a superficial connection with many people. Same. And I think having that as the goal with kids' books kind of keeps you true to the things that you want to work on, rather than trying to, you know, shoot for the moon all the time or try to like, you know, just kind of put stuff everywhere to try to get the next big hit. You know, like the goal isn't necessarily to get the big hit. It's the goal is to have the thing that resonates the deepest with people.
Do you recall what the first print run was for Brave?
I don't recall what it was, but it was pretty high. I think, was it like 50,000 copies?
50,000? Yeah, that sounds right.
Something like that.
It sold through, and then they would do whatever, 1,500 to 5,000 unit reprints, something like that?
Yeah, I think they were a little higher for that just because it had sold through relatively quickly. But then with the other books, I think they did a larger initial run, and then they just didn't sell through. So they've been more cautious, I think, on my follow-ups.
So I'll do a choose your own adventure. We can either talk about why do you think books 2 and 3 and the subsequent books didn't do as well, or we can just straight up talk about the internet I think they're connected, but like we
Oh,
can
yeah.
have like
Well,
sort of specifically directed conversations on that.
I think it's
on
the
each.
same. It's the same conversation.
Yeah,
So there's a
okay.
couple of reasons. Kind did well, but the problem with Kind was it came out in January of 2020. So like all of a sudden it came out. I went on like a Blitz book tour, like of just a week, like a more standard book tour. And then basically like everything shut down. No one went to stores. Like there was just no way for people to like see it in real life. So I think any of the success that Kind has had, which that one like has sold about 56,000 copies, which is not nothing.
I'll take that. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Sure.
That one's done fine, but it's really just been like wafting off of the success of Brave because
I think a lot of series can say that.
Yeah, totally. But like that's the reason why those two have done well is just like people like Brave, they see Kind, they're like, I'll like that one too. Tomorrow Will Be Kind is like, because it deals with like kindness and empathy and things like that, it is a like slightly older book for a picture book versus like Tomorrow Will Be Brave can be like a literal baby. But you're usually not teaching about like kindness and things like that until kids are in like late preschool. You know, you talk about it, but it's not like a teaching point. And then like I'm sure you talk about this quite a bit on the podcast, but like picture books are just such a funny territory because it's like such a constrained moment in time for parents and kids, just because the second that kids start reading, they flip to graphic novels, you know? So it's like, you're basically just doing read aloud books because most kids, as soon as they can read proper, they just are like, oh, picture books for babies. Like they're not reading them so much. And then Who Will You Be is like, has sold like nothing. And that one was sort of like Penguin relied really heavily on me for the pre-order situation. That was like peak time of Instagram being like, not a great place to promote yourself, where like everyone's engagement was like tanking. And it was funny because I would post about like logos or whatever and get a bunch of engagement and people would see my stuff. And then I would post about the kids book and it would get like, I have an audience on Instagram of like 200,000 people and the post would get like 800 views or something. So it just like was not getting promoted within the algorithm, which was so frustrating. But then Penguin and publishers in general, so I can't blame Penguin for this. This is like a publisher in general thing. They had just become so reliant on authors to do all of the promotion for the books that like they were doing, which is bonkers, but it's real, that they were doing like nothing really to promote it aside from that. And also I understand that like they can only get so much fuel behind every title for the seasons. And so the sales team needs to see the numbers in pre-order in order for them to devote resources to promoting your book. So basically like that book came out, it had SEO problems because of the title. It also like came out right when it was impossible to promote anything on the internet. And then because I couldn't promote it on the internet, the sales team didn't see those numbers in pre-order. So I had like 700 books pre-ordered by the time the book came out. And I think with Brave and Kind, they were both at like 26 or 2,700. Because of that, they were like, well, better luck next time. You know, like basically just like didn't do anything for the book after that.
Yeah. That's contemporary publishing right there.
Yeah, which fucking sucked because that book was so labor intensive. Like I spent so much time on the book itself. And I actually did a lot of promotion like in person for that book. I still talk about it more than any of my other books at conferences and things like that. And I don't know if like the books in the PRH back end, actually like the sales are a reflection of reality because it says that book has sold 2,600 copies. And I know that I personally have bought about 700 copies of that book for like events and stuff. So I would be like really shocked if those numbers were real.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, exactly. Which is crazy. And so,
it is crazy.
Yeah. And so that one didn't do well for all those reasons. I had a journal that I did that sold 4,000 copies. And that's also, but apparently journals like never do well. And then, yeah, my first book of Fancy Letters has still only sold about 2,600 copies since going on sale. And again, I've bought at least 10 boxes of that book for myself. Store. And there's 36 copies per box. So I guess that's only like 40. That's only like 400 books total.
It's such a strange business. a lot of it has to do with timing and luck. Some publishers
I think also
lean on
like
you.
The biggest, I think one of the things that I didn't anticipate, and this has been true of a bunch of things now too, because I have a tech startup called Studioworks.
Nice.
But I think like another thing that happened is that my audience has really aged with me. Right.
Yeah.
So like the majority of the people that know my work and are like folks that I hang out with on the internet and follow me are all people that are now my age or close to my age, where they're in their like late 30s to 50s and they just don't have little
That's
kids
Penguin
anymore.
calling you. They heard that you're bad.
No, that's my I have to get back to my contractor for my New York apartment. I owe them money. But yeah,
I have a contractor I owe $400 to, and I have to pay him today.
This is a much bigger bill, and I just haven't done it because I was finishing up my latest kids book this week, and I pulled an all-nighter on Sunday, which was intense. But I've just been in like a K-hole of working on that book that I haven't touched or addressed anything important in my life, so I have to get back to her and give her money.
Gotcha.
So yeah, my audience has really aged with me. And so now I feel like I'm like most of the folks that are buying my books are buying them for like, they're like the cool older auntie buying it for their like niece and nephew, not like they're buying it for their own children.
Right.
And then maybe I'll have another wave in like 10 years where it's like people from my first wave buying them for their kids or something. Like,
sure. That's the thing.
Hopefully that's the thing.
Did I hear this right? Is Brave out of print, or is it still in print?
Oh, it should still be in print.
Okay. I must
if you heard that, I would be concerned. My first book, not the first kids book, the In Progress book went out of print.
Okay.
The first edition of it. And so what happened with that is I published that one through Chronicle. They had only done an initial run of 5,000 copies. Okay. And then that sold out immediately. And then they were just doing like really small runs after that, like 1,000 to 1,500 copies. So it printed like, I don't know, 12 times or more or whatever. But then sales had been slow over the last like few years. And so they were like, yeah, unless we do something like really different, we're just not going to print that again. And I was like, oh. And so I ended up working with them on doing because I like didn't even think about that as a possibility. And then it got me really scared for the kids' books because I was like, I put all my time and effort and energy into these. They have to be printed forever. That's the rule. Yeah. But yeah, I ended up doing a revised edition with them that I added another like 100 pages of content, and it's actually really awesome, and I'm happy that I did it. So, and that came out this last year. So now I do have a new version of that book, so that was good.
This podcast is produced by the Illustration Department, a global leader in online education for illustrators. Visit illustrationdept.com for offerings like mentorships and portfolio reviews, testimonials, our alumni showcase, our best-selling Substack, and more. That's illustrationdept.com. And now, back to our conversation. I was listening to, among the many, many podcasts that I listen to, because you have quite a few of them, and there's some guests that I have who it's their first experience recording a podcast, and other guests like yourself, where this is like your 50th. Anyway, I listened to a bunch of them, including Debbie Millman's.
Oh, when I was a young baby.
You were 24. And you guys talked about Law and Order, SVU. One of the things you talked about was the internet, and you were talking so excitedly about being on the internet.
Yeah, totally. At the time, I was just like, I still...
This is 14 years ago.
I know.
Wait, what's my math? Hold on. 2012, yeah. So 14 years ago, I mean, you do refer to yourself as an interneter. 14 years have gone by since that conversation. Uh-huh. What is your view of the internet now?
I'm mixed, you know.
Because you used to be all over the place on social media. I mean, that was one of the things I really respected about what you did, is that you spent a ton of time just sharing a ton of information with total strangers.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like I have to recalibrate my relationship to the internet because
Same.
I've gotten like just mad at the fact that the internet is like Sky Mall now, where it's like everybody's just on there, and even if it seems like you're doing something fun and delightful, you're just selling something to someone. And I don't
Sky
want
Mall
that.
and Cinemax at this point.
Yeah, it's yucky and it's not fun.
It is.
Like, it's not fun to be in a place where you're just constantly being sold to.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that worked for me back in the day is that I would just like put stuff out there and then like not read anything else on the internet except for what people said back to me. So it was sort of like this weird one-way chat room. It's like I had my own private internet. I need to get back to that place where I'm just like sharing stuff to share stuff. Yeah. And then I talk to the people who want to talk to me about the things that I share. And I like just la away the idea that I should be like participating in anything that is trendy or like whatever.
Right. Yeah, one of the things you and Debbie talked about too was Louise Fili, and I had a recording with Stephen Heller at their apartment in New York. I can't remember when it was, a couple of years ago. Anyway, so I'm sitting there at this table on the left-hand side when you walk into their loft apartment or whatever it is. He and I are talking there at the table, and she walks in with like some grocery bags, I think from like Zabar's or I could have been Gristedes. I have no idea where they were from, but she just comes in from like food shopping and crashes the recording a little bit. We talk a little Italian. It was a great little moment.
She's awesome.
You had a lot of moments with her.
I love Louise.
Yeah.
Louise is like my design mom. So I like her a lot. I still check in with her all the time.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
I had this great question for you last week. I swear to God I did. And while I was getting ready in the morning, I forgot it. And I remember thinking, like, this is aging, folks. I don't remember the question I had. I remember I had a question for you. I'm like, oh, that would be great for Jessica. I don't remember what it was, but I remember
the general vibe.
No, I don't. But I remember thinking, that's a great question. I'm sure I'll remember it. No need to write it down. That part I remembered. But the question, gone. No remote idea of what it was about.
Well, we could go fishing for what we think it was about.
Well, here, let's fish for this. Neither of us are old, but we have both been around a little bit and we've seen some things. Do you spend any time thinking about legacy? God, I think about it. That word.
It's the only thing I think about. I think about it all the time.
Okay.
I mean, we can get real deep here, but like I grew up Catholic, but I'm not like a religious person.
Same.
Now I'm like recovering Catholic.
I say the same thing.
I'm not atheistic because atheism is a belief system. And so I'm more on the like agnostic side where I'm like, oh, that'd be chill, but you know, not putting any stock in anything. But to me, like my heart says, this is it. This is our only time here. And once this is over, it's lights out and that's peaceful and our energy returns to the universe or whatever. Right. Like, sounds good. Yep. Like no problems with that. Mm-hmm. But because of that, because there is not this like promise of everlasting glory or whatever, I'm just like, what you leave behind is like outrageously important. If you have any capacity to be memorable and to be someone that has an impact on your family or the world around you or anything like that, you have to be doing stuff and thinking about that. And it's sort of like, I wouldn't say it's like a game, but it's like almost like a game where it's like, how long can I last? You know, like,
yeah.
Can I figure out how to last for like, I don't know, like 40 years after I'm gone? Can I last for an entire generation after I'm gone? I don't know. That would be cool. So I feel like being remembered at all is great. You know, like and that's like having kids means that someone will remember you at some point, probably. You know, like someone will make some Ancestry account and write your name in it. And they'll like be like, oh, that person has a Wikipedia page, like whatever. But like, so I do think about it. I also like, it's really important to me that there's a version of myself that people know that is the truth. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why I have a hard time participating in modern internet culture, is because that's not the focus of modern internet culture, is like sort of creating legacy and creating like a permanent record of who you are and having everything that you do sort of be an expression of who you are. That's like not what the internet is about anymore. You know, it's like weirder and it's like in a lot of ways like more fun, but you also are doing nothing to like let people know anything about you because you're like participating in sort of like cultural group behaviors and activities rather than or like commercial activities rather than it being like about people knowing who you are. Yeah. I've always had a hard time with people that misunderstand me and my intentions. It's like a big snaggle for me. And I will like spend way too much energy like making sure that someone that I feel like misunderstands me actually knows who I am, like invest in that in that relationship like really, really hard.
I made that mistake years ago. I don't do that anymore.
I try not to, but it's also like, and I know that you can't, you just got to let things go if someone just is having a bad day and they're just in the mood to be mad about something.
Yeah.
But I really hate being misunderstood. And that really ties into legacy stuff too, of just like needing there to be evidence of who I am so that people that don't know me, when they meet me, it like aligns to like their expectation of me.
I suspect once you get to my age, you won't feel that way.
We're like 5 years apart. So
no, we're not.
Just stop. I'm 41 and you're what, 48?
I am 48.
Yeah, we're really close in age. We're not that far apart. We might have seemed really far apart way back in the day, but we're not far apart now.
I don't know. That's a very long 7 years between 41 and 40. I saw photographs of me the other day. My kids and I were just kind of going through, iPhone photos and just going like, oh, look how cute. And I saw there was a photo of me at 41 drinking a beer in my backyard. And I'm like, damn, I looked young and good looking. Yeah. And now that's not the case.
Well, that's also because men don't take care of their skin. So
that is true.
You should start.
I do wash my face twice a day.
Just get a red light mask like the rest of us.
Oh, no, thanks. Pass on that. So, but for illustrators and designers listening, I think in all seriousness, I think this is important. Young and not so young, do the freaking thing right now. Do it now because like focus on the present. You can't make up for lost time. Stop worrying about what you didn't accomplish in the past. Tomorrow is not a guarantee. So whatever it is that you're planning on doing, you should do it now.
Yeah. I also think like do the thing that ultimately makes your time on this earth better for you rather than doing the thing that you think you're supposed to be doing. Right. We kind of come in and out of losing sight of that over the course of our lives. Like we start off that way where it's just like, I want to do this thing. And then the whole world is like, yeah, but you can't do that right now because you need to learn addition or whatever. And then like eventually you calibrate yourself against financial success or like whatever it is that you're calibrating yourself against. And then you decide to sort of like shift your gears in order to achieve the things that you want to achieve financially, lifestyle wise, like whatever. And sometimes those things align with things that you're interested in and sometimes they don't. And I think that there's this danger that happens when we fall into that trap of needing to bend who we are and what we do to match goals that aren't necessarily a part of what makes us who we are.
Oh my gosh, totally. That is something that I am so thankful. I'm not trying to say that I'm old. I really am not. But I am so thankful that the older I get, the closer to 50 I'm getting, the easier it is to not care about any of that stuff. Like I cared a ton about my identity as an art director, as a member of the community. I felt great pride in being faculty for various conferences, Icon included, and it was truly part of my identity. That was a mistake. You aren't what you do. What you do is what you do. You are who you are.
I think you are what you do to some extent, but there's a thing that's deeper about what you do that actually is the truth about why you do it. And that's the thing that you always have to be thinking about. Like, it's not that the specific thing you are doing is who you are, but there is a motivation behind doing that thing that is who you are. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I think one thing that I've been really grateful for as I've gotten older is I've just like, in sort of like I need to rebel against my slowly turning to stone mentally thing that happens when people get older, is I just like am trying to do a lot more new things. And also I like don't give a fuck about what people think of my new hobbies and activities that I do because the internet's broken and it doesn't matter anymore. And so now I actually feel kind of great. Like I'm mixed about this whole like the internet's different thing because on one hand, I'm very sad that it's not like this lovely playground of nice people meeting each other and like just being like, look at me, I'm interested in doing things. And everyone's like, yay, that sounds cool and fun. And now it's just like, hey, come to my guru network thing and pay me $400 to learn from me because this is what I do now. That's like the vibe. But because it's so that, I just don't feel pressure to like share the things that I'm doing and working on in a way. Cause I'm like, nobody's going to see this. So it doesn't matter. So it just makes me feel like I can do anything that I want now because there's no eyeballs on it and there's no hope to have eyeballs on it. But the thing that happens because of that though, is it's kind of like dating where you're like, nobody cares. I don't need to care about this anymore. Like as soon as you have that attitude, then all of a sudden everybody's like, what's going on with you? Like, I want to know what you're about, you know?
Right.
So I am sort of like, I feel like I'm playing this fun game with myself where I both like don't care at all about anybody seeing anything that I do. And I'm also just like, I wonder if the fact that I don't care at all is going to translate to me suddenly knowing how to do the internet again. That'd be chill.
Probably. I have a little bit of I'm experiencing that a little bit. Getting like Instagram for the illustration department has been doing really well. 2018, 2019, when I started Instagram, I did all the
so
things
bad then.
It was so bad. But yeah, you know, I read all the blogs. I followed all the formulas. It was like Nintendo cheat code.
There was no way to be successful because the cheat code changed every week. Yeah, it was impossible.
Every freaking week. And now I couldn't give a shit about how, like, I stay consistent with what I post, but I don't care at all. And truly, like, I used to say that a couple of years ago, like, oh, I don't care. Like, secretly I cared. Now I really don't care. And of course, all the numbers are doing better.
Yeah, what I need to do is just like actually post ever, because I don't really post to main ever. And what happens is that people will like tag me as a collaborator when I'm speaking at conferences and things like that. And then I have to accept those things. And then all of a sudden my whole Instagram feed is just my face over and over again. Because I'm like not posting my work, and it's
apparently
just my face.
that's what Instagram likes. They like.
I know, but they don't want a static picture of your face. That's the same photo that you've given to every organization, and I don't want that either. And so
just use AI and move it a little bit, and then post. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that whatsoever.
I'm sure your audience is very into AI.
Oh my God, I say FAI every 10 seconds, and I don't know.
I'm of two minds with it. My husband works at Meta on AI, and so I know everything there is to know about what's going on with AI because of that.
I don't want to talk about Meta. I want to talk about your startup. What's going on with that?
Yes. Okay. My startup that does not use AI at all.
By the way,
let's start with that.
Do you see that? I'm a good host. I remembered that you wanted to talk about it.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
I wrote it down. It's okay.
I know. I have a startup called Studioworks.
Cool. Did you spell works WER?
No, because this is not 2009 or whatever year that would be. Where you would drop all your vowels and stuff.
Everyone did. God. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
But I co-founded it with one of my old studio mates who is around your age. So also
old.
Not old, not young. Because I shared a studio in the Pencil Factory in New York with a bunch of illustrators, but there was like a 1 year period where I didn't have a studio there, and I instead had a studio in Dumbo and was sharing it with a bunch of internet people. And that was really fun because at the time I was super into like making random internet projects. And so, and doing a bunch of HTML and CSS and PHP and stuff like that on my own, which I love to do. I reached out to Chris, my old studio mate, because I was like, man, nobody's doing fun stuff on the internet anymore. I want to do fun
Silas
stuff on
Neal
the internet.
Or another Chris?
No. His name's Chris Shiflett.
Got it.
I just reached out to him out of the blue, and then we kind of just like got really pumped about working on a thing. And then suddenly these two developers that he had worked with at several startups like quit their job the same day, and we're like, let's work on something together. It went from idea to we have a real company in like 2 months. And so there's 4 of us building software for creative studios. And we started with invoicing because invoicing is broken. And we wanted a way to like make it so that you could get paid online, but also get paid any other way that people pay you. And you didn't have to deal with QuickBooks and all the shitty shit that all those other companies do. And also they all steal from you and take, skim extra money on the top and all that kind of stuff. So we built with Stripe's infrastructure, but like, which also things like FreshBooks use. But instead of adding a percentage on top of payments, we just pass along their like wholesale costs. So like if you get paid $100,000 through ACH through us, if the fee is $5. Like the maximum fee ever is $5. Right. Whereas on every other software, like every other one, it's 1 to 1.5% of the total with no cap. And so that's why most people that send invoices through online invoicing things, like just literally, it's like a dead invoice where they send it and then they're like, oh yeah, but actually just send me a check or whatever. And it's like, why are you even paying for that service if you're not going to be able to take online payments? So that was the first thing that we did, but we're also building a thing for keeping track of like clients and contacts, kind of like a light CRM. It's very like beginning stages. And we have this community online and do like multiple meetups a week and like pump a bunch of resources and stuff into that, just so that people have like a place to go to like find manufacturer like stuff and printers and all kinds of things. So people can ask the community like, hey, I'm looking for this. And like everybody's very kind and responsive. And we're just trying to make it like a really good, helpful place that you don't have to be all the time. So it's not like a new social network that you have to check in on constantly. It can be kind of like asynchronous and there when you need it and not when you don't.
You have a launch date?
It's already out. It's out and about.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. It sounded like you were still building into it.
I mean, we are because we have like really grand plans of what we want it to be. Like we basically want to cover all of the paperwork stuff end to end. So right now the main draws are invoicing and payments, the community, and then like this clients thing that we're continually working on. But we're also working on proposals and contracts to sort of make like a way to make a SOW to send to clients, and then they can interface with it and give notes and sign it and all that kind of jazz, just so that you have like a consolidated place to do your paperwork and look like a super pro. So one of the main draws to it is, aside from just like us trying to save you money by like not stealing from you, it's like basically built to look like it's white labeled to your studio. So like you look like you hired some really fancy developer to make you like a custom backend for stuff. Sweet. Because we're not trying to like put our brand all over everything and sell it to your clients. We're just trying to make you look really fancy. Yeah. So you can go to studioworks.app/join/you seem cool. And that will give you a free month if you want to try it out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
/illustration department podcast. So you get,
I could do that one, but
7 free months.
No, the way that we do that right now is that I have to make a fake account for your thing and make a referral account. So I don't want to make a fake account for you. So you can I don't want to
cut into your drumming time. So it's
you
totally
can just
fine.
use you seem cool. That's the like, so studioworks.app/join/you seem cool. That's a free month. But it's really, I love using it. Like it's also like, it looks like it's made for the iPhone or like for a mobile app, just because it's like, it's a web app, but it's like designed really well for the phone. So it's just so easy and simple.
I suspect you'll agree with me on this. Good graphic design. I've felt for the longest time that good graphic design is a key, if not like literally the key element in improving our economy. I'm not kidding. Our economy, our
absolutely.
Culture, our politics. I mean, does everyone remember freaking hanging chads and being confused on who to vote for on those ballots? It literally can boost or tank a business. Elections, like quality of life, everything.
You've sold a house before, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So like you understand, like if anybody in your audience has ever bought a house or thought about buying a house or sold property or anything like that. I know this is a very elitist conversation right now. Sorry for this in advance. But it
is what it is.
It is what it is. But it's really hard to illustrate the point of how big of a value design brings to the situation without using something that's really tangible, like a house sale, right? Mm-hmm. Because like a lot of things with internet businesses and software and whatever, if it's good design is usually invisible, and it just is like there's less friction to doing the thing. So yes, like more people are doing the thing faster, and you have those metrics, but like there's always like 500 million other things that could also be influencing that. You know what I mean? And so, but with a house sale, you can literally say, okay, the comps of this house said that it was supposed to sell for $600,000 based on all the things. But because the house looked real nice, it sold for $800,000. Things can sell like for so much more than what the exact on paper things are about that house, or even like better on paper things about that house, just because the design is better.
Exactly.
And it's not even like the design is better, like, oh, we used gold for the fucking appliances or whatever. Like, it's not like that. It's like you walk into a place and you're like, I feel calm here. I feel like this place completes me.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens through design. You know, it happens through the staging. It happens through just like the overall flow of the space of source and everything. But it's really like so much of it is in just like the staging and the finesse and that final part. Good landscaping, good staging. All of a sudden, it takes a place. You spend $10,000 to make a place make an additional $150,000. It's crazy. And it's just design.
Typeface, that's design. That's just how things are aesthetically put together, how it flows, the color schemes, the like value relationships between furniture. Like there's a lot to that. That's not literally lettering. But if you're talking about just typography and graphic design, I mean, sometimes I'll drive on the highway or, you know, wherever I'll be driving, and I'll look at a car and the logo for that car is terrible. Like the typeface is awful. It just looks so
and you
cheap
won't buy,
and
then you won't buy the thing because you don't like how it looks. Yeah,
I don't like the typeface. Or a logo for a company just looks like not well made. And so I'm already thinking negative thoughts about the company, even though I don't know anything about them. And they're probably a great company because the logo sucks.
Though we are also specific nerd weirdos about that. Other people are making that decision, but not everybody chooses the things that they have in their life because of like how they aesthetically vibe with everything else.
They might pick the better thing, but not know why they like it.
Yeah. Or, you know, like it's also too, people have different spectrums. I don't know how you are about shopping for things, but like for me, I have like kind of a wider net than some people do. Like when Russ and I first moved into an apartment in San Francisco, we were just like renting this apartment and we were looking for a sofa. We had moved across the country. We didn't have any furniture. There was a couple weeks where we were looking for this sofa and he had picked out 6 different sofas that were like basically identical and like could not decide between these 6 sofas. I was like, dude, it's like the same fucking sofa. Just pick a sofa. And so I actually have like more loose tolerance around like what's the thing that's right than some other people do. Right. And I think that's actually one thing that has made me like more successful in general, like commercially, is that I feel like I'm more of an everyman than a lot of designers are. Because like there's a lot of designers who like, they're like, no, this is the one, the perfect, the only. And I'm like, you know.
That designer who didn't like that I used typeface and font interchangeably.
Yeah, I'm like, no. I'm like, that's a roadblock that you're setting up for yourself. Just be fine and move on, you know, like whatever. And I feel that way about like all the work that I do too. I'm like, there's not like the one true solution. There's like a bunch of solutions. Right. And we're going to find one that works really well, that everybody is really happy with for now. And like, maybe in like 2 years, you'll be like, oh man, there's this other thing that we could have done. And you just have to go, yeah, we could have done it, but we didn't do it. And this thing is great and fine. At a certain point, you just got to do it and commit to it. But like, long story short, like the main thing being with design, there's sort of these like tiers of consideration, right? There's the like unconsidered, you know, where it's just like aesthetically not good, functionally not good. And then there's like the tier above that where it's like aesthetically okay, functionally okay. And then there's another tier that's like functionally great, aesthetically okay, or aesthetically great, functionally okay. And then the top is like the apex of functionally great, aesthetically great.
Right.
I think most designers only accept top. But that actually, like, if you kind of go down a rung, that's like what works for like the majority of humanity. And the majority of humanity can't understand top because they're not as like, their eyeballs are not as trained for it. So like they don't have as high of a tolerance or as a, you know, precise of a tolerance for that stuff as we do.
Right. Where do you often see bad graphic design? Like what would be one example that you see fairly regularly that bothers the hell out of you?
I don't know if this is also the thing though, is like I am unbothered.
Really? Okay. Well, I'll share with you my opinion.
I want to explain my unbotheredness.
Okay.
Right? And this is, I feel like, one of those things that gets to like the core of who I am.
So you're fine when someone uses an inch mark on their storefront instead of an apostrophe. You're totally cool with that.
Well, that's not a graphic design thing. That's an editorial grammatical error, I feel like.
But it is design.
It is design.
Typography.
I mean, I don't like that.
It's an element of typography.
I would prefer to fix that, for sure.
It bothers me, and it makes me think differently of the store.
But that, to me, that's not design. Because people make that mistake that aren't designers. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally a writing mistake. Versus a design mistake would be something like choosing a weird font that has weird spacing, or like having the letter spacing be wider than the line height, or not having enough white space around things. There's
picking
like design
optical instead of metric.
Yeah. You want metric is what you want.
You want metric, not optical. You don't want Adobe telling you the spacing of the typography.
Yeah. But like, to me, like a copywriting or copy editing mistake is not something that, I mean, yes, the designer should have caught it, but that's not like bad design. That's like a mistake that all human beings make.
Okay.
But to me, like when I see like bad design, like design that is poor hierarchy, and doesn't have enough breathing room around it, like just stuff that is like, aggressive to look at kind of thing. I feel like I still am able to be like, oh man, I bet whoever made that was so stoked to see that thing happen in real life, because I just remember being like a little baby designer and being like, guys, check out this Comcast direct mail glossy postcard that I made. It's the first piece of graphic design that got printed by a real printer, so every time I see bad design in the real world, I think about like a young designer, and this is like their first piece that got made real that wasn't like a student piece, and about how they were like, oh man, that's
Jessica,
my work.
You're thinking about me. I did direct mail pieces as my first graphic design job was designing junk mail, like of course. Warren Buffett invests in this stock, so should you. And here's like an envelope and a package. And I designed those things and they were awful. But I remember thinking they weren't awful. They were awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying is like when I see bad design, I think about the joy of seeing your work in print when you're like young and you don't know better. That's what I think.
I still think political signage is bad design and awful. And I don't care who designed it. They suck.
Yeah, well, most of that stuff gets slapped together pretty quickly and for free. That's the problem. So
that is one of the lowest hanging fruit, I think, for any. And just like look at who wins. Like look at Obama's overall design. Mm-hmm. Look at Kamala's overall design packaging. Like those were really well designed. I mean, obviously one of them won and one didn't. But like I think Gotham was the main typeface for Obama. It was a beautiful typeface and it worked well. And they knew that design mattered. Shout out to Debbie Bowman. It does matter. But when there are politicians out there who couldn't give less of a shit about it, and they're overall, even if I don't care if they're Dem or Republican, it's just awful. I just think differently of that person.
Though now there's this whole thing that you have to consider where like good design is considered elitist. And so I was talking to someone recently where they were working on a thing for a nonprofit. They actually got told that they had to make the design worse because as a nonprofit, they couldn't look like they were just like flush with money, So they were like, we need to look like we're a little more homespun and like struggling, because if we look like we have this like slick design, no one will want to give us money. So I think about that too. Like, do you remember that people were going around like making nice signs for homeless people or whatever, or unhoused folks? So there was someone did a project where they were like taking like the signs of like folks on the street, making nicely graphic design signs and like giving them to them. And they were like, which I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. They were like, I'm trying to like help those people by giving them something that people can read better or whatever. But if you like saw an unhoused person on the street that had like a really slick sign, you'd be like way less likely to give them stuff because you're like, where'd you get that sign printed? Like whatever. And so there's some truth to that. And that has seeped into politics. There's like a thing where if design is too good or too obviously good, it can be quietly good. It just can't be like, it can't look luxury, because if it looks luxury, then it's exclusionary.
Mamdani won on it.
Yeah, because they tapped into sign painting aesthetics, which is a lowbrow design aesthetic.
Oh, shit. I just proved your point.
Yeah.
his wife's name escapes me. SVA.
Oh yeah, I mean,
grad.
You mean our Lady Di, she's Lady Di
awesome.
of 2026. She seems cool as hell.
It's pretty great that she's like an artist, an illustrator, designer in that position. My kids were like, "You need to invite her onto your podcast." And I'm like, "There's no way A, she's going to accept, but B, even if she did, I wouldn't want to do it right now because there's just a lot of
too chaotic. Yeah, you got to wait.
It's a lot of chaos and heat on them right now. So I'll wait a year. Speaking of art schools, I was dropping my son off at Temple. He's an owl.
Oh, hey, yeah,
you're an owl. And I went to go park the car. I was walking up and went. Whatever that road is, the Tyler part of it is on the left-hand side. And I looked in the lobby of the building and I saw a giant sign that said Jessica Hische.
Oh, when I went to go give a talk there, like not so long ago.
Not so long ago.
I did indeed.
Pennsylvania native, right?
Yeah. Grew up in Northeast PA.
Where?
Hazleton specifically, but Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area.
I'm in Southeast PA.
Yeah.
Like Longwood Gardens area.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Brandywine.
Near Philly.
Yeah, we're like 45 to Philly, an hour maybe.
Yeah, I grew up, 400 years from Philly because when you grow up in rural Pennsylvania, cities seem extremely far away. So.
Yeah, this isn't rural where I am. So we have designers, letterers, interneters, procrastinators workers, or whatever you want to call it, lots of different kinds of folks listening. What would be one piece of advice that you would like to share with all the creative types?
I don't know. I feel like we talked a lot about things today, but I guess the biggest thing is just to not let what you perceive as what the world wants from you to control who you are and what you do. Mm-hmm. I think right now is a really weird and tricky time to be a creative just because there's so much pressure to pay attention to where the pendulum is swinging technologically and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
And I think that the folks that are going to really survive and do great are the ones that are going to pay less attention to that. And just if they feel like embracing technology is great, they'll do it on their own accord. If they want to run away from them, great. But either way, it's sort of just staying true to what you want to do and not operating from a place of fear, but from a place of curiosity.
To learn more about Jessica, visit jessicahische.is. If you find value in this podcast, consider becoming a patron. In return, you can access bonus episodes, receive invitations to our Art Directors After Hours series, and get a 10% off discount code for all ID offerings. Become a patron by visiting patreon.com/illustrationdept. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.